Okay, gentlemen, let's start in on lesson 5, marketing. You could be a half-ass inspector and know how to market, and you will be a greatly successful home inspector. You could be the best inspector in the world, know more about the house than any other little a human being, and you will turn out being a failure as a home inspector if you can't market. It's that simple. Everything that you're learning here is just your product. You've got to now go out and sell your product. You've got to go out and market yourself. You've got to go out and run a business. Those are the key. Trust me, I knew nothing when I started this business. I didn't know the difference between fascia and soffit when I started this business, but I knew how to market. And I learned everything I needed to learn going on the way. I wish I had a school like this so I could take 5 years of learning, and I'm still learning today, but 5 years of learning and cram it into 4 months that I could just review. That would be great. And that's one of the reasons why the school was made exactly the way it is because we want to see you succeed, and the best way for you to succeed is to understand the elements, and one of the elements, but not the important element, is the home. And we're going to spend 3 months on the home. But this month we're going to spend on building your business, getting your business papers in order, etc. And tonight we're going to talk about marketing. There's 2 types of marketing. There's passive and there's aggressive or active marketing. Passive marketing you all could be doing right now. Laundromats, business cards, flyers, joining the Elks Club, joining the Chamber of Commerce, creating an environment where people say, hey, what do you do and how do you do it? Thanks for joining our Elks Club, or thanks for joining the Chamber of Commerce. And having these natural communities that they'll use members rather than go to the outside is absolutely a great way to get your business kickstarted. B&I is a group of people that get together, one from each industry, and they share leads with each other. So you have 12 people all looking for home inspectors for you, and you're looking for printing projects for the printer in the group. And the real estate, anytime somebody comes to you and says, hey, you're a home inspector, do you know any good real estate agents? And you send them to your B&I partner. He's doing the same thing to you. So there's groups out there that allow you to passively market. What I call passively market is just by leaving flyers, getting to know people, and they find out about you because of the groups that you belong to, a church group. One of the most successful home inspectors I know in this capital region is a pastor in his small community. And he's been a home inspector for as long as I have. We started basically the same year. And because everybody in town knows him and all the realtors know him, and he's a good guy, he turns down business. He goes away for 3 months during the winter, goes back down, and by the time he's back here on Monday, his week's filled with 2 inspections a day they know he's in Florida, so they call somebody else. And when he's back, they call him. Now that took 15 years to develop. He turns more now. He just literally does an inspection when he wants to. But that took a unique set of circumstances. His profession, his location, and his personality. We all don't have those things. We all have our limits. We all have our drawbacks. I'm fat, you're black, women come in here. Each one of those is going to be a problem. How you address these problems will define how successful you are. If you don't take a good look at yourself, put together a reasonable, intelligent business plan, and focus on that path forward, you will fail. I know every one of you thought you could be a good home inspector because you know about houses. It's just not true. And I think I told everybody in this room that called me on the phone that you have to learn how to build a business and you have to network. I make sure that's well understood up front. Doesn't mean you can't do it. Doesn't mean that it's not there. I know guys that all they market is just on the internet. He's an internet guy. And he makes websites and he optimizes it. and he's just good to go, and he knows how to be at the top of the list all the time, and he gets all the business that he needs. I know somebody else. I started with him back in '03. All he does is Chamber of Commerce. He lives on the Chamber of Commerce. He's on every committee, and he just literally, that's where he gets all of his new stuff, and then that networks out from each other. So this is an issue where you have to find what your skills are and work from that. If you like to go to brunches and meetings and stuff, maybe the Chamber's right for you. If you like to do, if you rent a house and you're always in laundromats, maybe you should start pinning everything up on a laundromat. But you've got to find a solution to market yourself. Realtors are a necessary evil. The real estate office is the place to get started. It's not the only place to get started, but literally, if you want to get past the passive, you're going to have to, at some point in time, introduce yourself to a realtor. You can do that in several different ways. One of them is, as we'll talk about later this evening, maybe going to open houses and meeting them in a one-on-one situation. Maybe doing the atonement program. And we'll go through each of these this evening on how effective they can be. One thing I can guarantee you, I have Joe Fasolino sitting here. He's perfect proof that everything worked, because Joe is a person that believes in systems. He's an engineer. And when he came to me and he saw this, and he walked out there, and the first day out there, did he try and reinvent the wheel? First thing he did was go buy a dozen donuts and called on an office. And I got a fucking phone call every time he walked out of a freaking office. My phone was ringing. The guy couldn't meet a realtor that Dan Osborne didn't hear about, at least for the first 6 months.
It's true.
And every time he tried one of these, he said, "Holy crap, it works." He didn't believe it, but he had faith in the system, and that's because he's an engineer. Engineers are taught. You have a process. You follow the process works. And he followed the process, and it worked. And we've had student after student after student after student come through this program who haven't followed the process, tried to reinvent it, and have had moderate success sometimes and other times failed. But everybody that follows the process typically succeeds. Maybe there are other factors involved. It's not 100%. Boy, it's a lot better off than starting your own. So read this chapter thoroughly. Figure out what you want to do. And as soon as you figured out what you want to do, bring it to Joe or I or Jamie. And let us have, and set aside 10 or 15 minutes, and I'd be glad to do this. Give you 10 or 15 minutes and listen to it, and let's poke holes in it. Let's see if it works. Call me up, we'll go over it. We want you to be successful. So let's talk about the real estate market, the real estate office. There are different types of realtors. First of all, the person that is typically in charge of an office or owns the brokerage is a broker. That's a separate license above real estate. We do have a realtor in here, don't we?
I did it for a while.
I was.
You were, okay.
I am currently.
And I'm generally correct on some of this. It's not always exactly right, but, so be kind in your assessment of what I said.
Fire away, sir.
For the record, all realtors are assholes. Oh, did I say that?
I concur.
Generally speaking, all generalizations are false.
Yeah, that, generally speaking, that would be generally right, yes. Okay, real estate offices have brokers that run the office, associate brokers or associate brokers are brokers that could if they wanted to, but they're lazy, so they just work for another broker. They typically can go in and hammer out their own percentages.
Usually, yes.
Because they'll want a broker from another office to come over, and maybe he's on loose and looking for an office, and he's got more experience, more contacts, etc. He probably has his own system. He may have his own team, and they'll come over and they'll give them a different percentage. So brokers are more experienced. They typically are managers, and depending on the real estate office, some of them will have teams, some of them won't. They're by themselves. There's a variety. But the only thing that you really need to know about the real estate office is there are buyer's agents and seller's agents, listing agents, and I call them buyer's agents. The agent that is responsible for the buyer. As a home inspector, we go out and we get a job, and we're getting a job not from the listing agent recommending us, but from the buyer's agent. Who tends to be buyer's agents? Are the newer realtors. All buyer's agents want to grow up and be listing agents. Listing agents can handle 10 deals a month, and buyer's agents 2 or 3. So the sheer volume, and depending upon the commission structure, sometimes there's not that much depending upon which side you're on. Others have it negotiated where they make a lot of money. Others don't. It depends on the brokerage firm you're with. But in general, the real reason that agents all want to be listers is because I can handle 10 houses a month where a buyer's agent can only handle 3. If you take 12 months out of the year and you're doing 10 different houses every month as a listing agent, managing your time, your own personal time, that's 120 houses at the end of the year if you're so fortunate to ever get that many listings. And those are just sample numbers. That's not the real world. But I would rather have 120 shots at a closing than 3 a month for 12 months is 36. So I got I have 100 opportunities to make a sale, whereas the other way I have only 36. That's why the usage of time is the real reason why people want to be listing agents. Because I can't imagine anybody really wanting to be a buyer's agent and driving one client all over the place for 6 months, 8 months, and then turn around, they decide they don't want to buy, or they find a house, they get it through some other means and not through you. I can't imagine anybody envisions that as a great profession, but some enjoy it. Some enjoy it, yes.
I enjoyed it.
You really enjoyed the buyer side?
Yes.
And you're not just,
He's a people person.
Can only sit
well,
at open. I got
yeah, but
tired-
you can only take so much people.
I got tired of sitting at open houses day after day after day. There's advantages to the listing side. You get business through open houses, etc. But I tended to have a lot of buyers that had money and usually go out within a week. So I'd show them 3 or 4 places. They'd buy something. I'd move on to the next person.
What firm were you with?
Well, I was in Florida, so it was a different market because it was all a second home market.
Yeah.
People were there for a week or 2. They had money. They wanted a home before they went back to Europe or wherever they were.
I don't know if that'd work here.
No.
No.
Yeah, they usually had a couple million in cash, and they were
So we have,
different story here. Happens in that class again.
do we all know what the pre-listing presentation is, and do we understand the pre-listing concept? Have we gone over the pre-listing concept in class? Okay, we have it. Okay. I'm a believer that for me to find the rookie realtor, I need to generate a relationship with it, because my rookie realtor is my target as a home inspector. I am never going to turn around and get a seasoned professional that's been in the business 7 or 8 or 9 years to give me a shot, unless he happens to be my brother-in-law or something like that. The seasoned professional isn't in the office that often, or a lot less than the rookie realtor. So you're not going to find the seasoned professional. The seasoned professional probably knows about 10 home inspectors, and he's got 2 or 3 in the list. It's going to take some other type of relationship to be able to break that bond, correct?
Correct.
So the way you break the bond is you don't work it. I don't care what he does for a home inspector, but I care what the rookie realtor does as a home inspector. I want a good relationship with the seasoned, because he's going to introduce me to the rookie. So I never want to not have friends in the office, but I got to figure out a way to get the rookie realtor to at least pay attention to me. Rookie realtor doesn't know anything about the home inspection business,
But he likes donuts.
but he likes donuts and coffee. One of the things that I do, one of the things I believe that we need to do is have something to talk about when I walk into a real estate office. Whether I'm talking to the manager, whether I'm talking to the seasoned agent or whether I'm talking to the rookie. I need something to say. I refuse to walk into an office and say, "Hi, I'm Dan Osborne, I'm a new home inspector, and I really write a good report, and you're gonna love my inspection." How many times do you think he hears that? Oh my God, I'd shoot myself in the head. So I can walk into him and instead say, "Hey, I'm Dan Osborne with Upstate Home Inspection. You seem like a nice guy. I've got one question for you after we've started the conversation. Before he can ask me what kind of report do I write, how long have I been in the business, where my market is, I ask him about his business. And the first question I'm going to ask him is, I've always been kind of torn on this. I'm a believer in pre-listing inspections. I just think qualifying a house prior to put it on the marketplace makes more sense, because then you find out what all the problems are and it moves faster through the pipe, and you get to closing much quicker. If I can get to closing, if I can cut a week off of every closing you have, you may get enough extra 4 or 5 closings in during the year, and that's an extra 10 grand. Now I'm questioning him about his business, looking to him for advice of what he thinks. Is he going to stop me from asking him a question and ask how long have I been in the business? It's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. Because I'm asking a question that he doesn't even have a good answer for. He's got his stock answer, but he can't overcome the other answers. One of the answers you're going to get is, well, if I find out something's wrong with it, I have a disclosure issue, and so I don't want to know. But that's okay, because when we do a pre-listing inspection for one of your clients, we give the report to your client. That doesn't affect your disclosure issue at all. I have an answer for almost everything he has to say, other than the fact that the manager doesn't want him to do pre-listing inspections, which never happens. I used to go around from real estate office to real estate office to real estate office, and they'd want me to talk to their group of realtors, because the managers want the pre-listing inspections. Is that your experience?
Right.
But the realtors don't, because of a varied amount of problems that they have. One is, well, this house doesn't need it, but he didn't know about this, so actually it did. And also, they think we want to, when we're offering pre-listing inspections, they think we want to pre-list every home. No, I just did a 10-year-old house Michael's built in Half Moon yesterday, that it was 1,900 square foot. It was 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and it was 10 years old. Oh my God, it was perfect. And that anybody could walk through that and say, oh, this is perfect. So why get a pre-listing inspection? That's not the house we're after. We're after the house to get the pre-listing, and the conversation to the realtor should be, I understand that not every house qualifies that you really need a pre-listing inspection, but there's going to be those old farmhouses that have been through 2 or 3 different upgrades over the years, that there could be a lot of problems. And you may only have one person walk into your office in the next 6 months looking for an old farmhouse in Half Moon. And what if that one person was scared away by something that was going on in that house, like mold or a buried oil tank or whatever, that if you'd have known about it ahead of time, you could have already solved that problem by either giving them a credit, disclosing it, and or fixing it. Now that one buyer sticks with you. As a realtor, does that make any sense?
Of course. Yeah.
But you don't get them to do it. They won't do it. You can't get them en masse to do it. It works for a while. I did pre-listing inspections for Adam Vandervoort for 5 or 6 years. Every month I'd give him a free pre-listing inspection. The buyers always used me. So I was giving free pre-listing inspections to anybody Adam brought along, and Adam was one of my best clients until I got old and he found somebody he liked better, that was younger and better looking than me. But pre-listing works, but just not for everybody. I can't get the average realtor to do it, but I can get the guy that is, in my opinion, thinking about his business. And Adam certainly was, and I certainly got additional work out of it. The more I pre-listed and inspected for him, the more he used me, and then the more his clients that I went in and did it. Once they saw what I was doing as a home inspector, when they got ready to buy, guess who they used? So my 2 hour and a half that I wasn't doing anything else, I looked at it as equity investment in my marketing program. It's awful hard for these realtors to turn down a free pre-listing inspection that is going to give them money and help them sell a house, possibly, quicker and faster and for more money. I know Adam used to believe, and this is the number he gave me, he said that half of the time that he had the pre-listing inspection report out on the coffee table when the buyers came through, half of the time they looked at the report, they'd flip through the pages, they'd walk around the house with the report and compare what that house had with what the report had, found out it matched perfectly all the way through, and turned around and says, I waived my home inspection. We're going to go with this report. I had no liability. They didn't pay me a penny. I loved it.
But you didn't make a penny on the whole deal anywhere, did you?
No, that was on the sales side. So that buyer, that owner, then was buying another house, and I'd inspect for them because it was my report that was so thorough on the house that sold the house. Now I was their guy. I wasn't going to ever do that inspection on the house. If I do a pre-listing on the house, ethically, I'm not going to get involved. Now I could, the law allows me to do it, because it's a separate inspection, a separate day, and a separate client. There's no reason in the world I won't, but I won't. I believe as an instructor of home inspectors, you guys are in training, I have a higher ethical standard to not even get involved in anything that even has two people that know each other. I turned down an inspection the other day from a realtor because I'm friends with her and she wanted to give me her business. And I said, no, I can't do that because then who knows what's going to happen down the road. That doesn't mean you can't. You literally have to be related, family, not to do it, but I'm not going to. I don't want that involvement. I don't need that involvement. It would be too
Just because you were
complicated.
friends with her? So you don't use any of your friends as realtors for?
If the friendship sprang up from meeting them at a job, yes. I've become very good friends with multiple realtors, but it was because of our business relationship that happened. But if I have a drinking buddy that happens to be a realtor, and I go out and inspect for him, I'm not going anywhere near his stuff. That's me.
Why, just because it'll cause an argument, or?
No, just because the impropriety of the appearance of impropriety. We don't have to be impropriety. We don't have to be kissing cousins or anything else. We'll talk later, okay?
Dan, have you ever charged for a pre-listing, or you've never had charged?
I've been offered money for pre-listing and I've never turned it down. It depends on how they find me. I've had phone calls. I'm looking for a pre-listing inspection, and I about fall out of my chair, and I'll charge them $300, and we get it, and they got it, and everybody's happy. Typically, though, my pre-listings come to me from realtors, and I'm using that as a marketing. That's where I want that stuff to
So
come.
you strictly use that as a marketing tool unless they call you?
I use my pre-listing stuff as a tool to talk to you without talking about me. Because I don't know a realtor that doesn't want to talk about their business. Okay? And if you handle that conversation right, the subject of how long you've been a home inspector never comes up. All I want to do is create a scenario where you and I can meet each other, talk a little business, you take my card, I get your card, and then I'm going to come back in 2 months later or 2 weeks later, and I'm going to give you a stack of cards that'll say free termite inspection on the back end of it. And then I'm going to give you as an offer some of yours, or then a $50 coupon. Now I'm going to start working yous, and I'm just giving you, I'm coming back in because I trust. If you see me once a month in your office for 6 months, and this asshole walks in and tries to get you to do business with you, are you going to use me, who you've seen for the last, or this great guy?
Creating a bond, yeah.
Huh?
Creating a bond.
Yes, exactly. Nobody refers somebody they don't like, and until they like you, they're not going to refer you.
Correct.
It's all about the like, and if you're not a likable guy, you're going to.
Okay.
So get out the likable shirt.
I'm screwed.
Huh?
I'm screwed.
You're screwed. Why, nobody likes you? Oh, come on, there aren't girls out there lined up? Not yet?
No, I'm just, I think I'll do okay.
With that smile, you can't fail.
Yeah, I think I'll do okay.
Huh? Joe? Yes?
I think it'll be just fine.
Yeah, just fine. It's all about the like.
And a new camera.
It's all about the like. There's nothing else. And so what we're trying to show you is there's a bunch of different ways to get you in front of them, talking so you don't sound like an idiot, and so that they'll kind of say, oh, I like him. You know, he lives right around the block. His kid goes to school with my kid, etc. One of our students, Chris Walsh, he was doing an inspection with me up in Greenwich. He's from Greenwich. The realtor was from Greenwich. We walk up together and the two of them hug and kiss. They were high school sweethearts. My student that came, Chris Walsh,
Yeah.
the realtor, that he used to date her as a senior in high school.
Oh my God.
And here I'm going, he's coming along at inspection. I didn't know the two of them knew each other. I didn't even know where he was from. They live 3 blocks apart. Have I done an inspection for her since then? No. Of course, you know Chris, he's the
Yeah.
tall and handsome. God, I hate that. You think you have it tough being black. Try being short and fat.
Try being short and black. Like, I don't ain't skinny.
And skinny. Okay. Okay?
Oh my God. This is going south.
It's all about the relationship. So, you'll go into an office with a dozen donuts. Let's talk about this on page 69. The real estate office. All I want to do is introduce myself to the lady at the front desk and to the manager on my first call in. I'm going to go in without donuts the first day and just pick up the manager's card, introduce myself to the lady behind the desk. Sometimes in the offices there's ladies, other times there's just smaller offices. It's one of the newer realtors has a new desk duty that day.
Correct. Yep.
Right. Well, guess what? New realtor, oh boy. Because it's an opportunity to go in and bring a dozen donuts and your card and be pleasant. Can you do pleasant?
Absolutely.
You can with that look?
I'll try.
Okay, now there you go. Yeah, there you go. Smile. Oh, that's better. Yeah, I'll try.
John's approachable.
Appreciate that.
No problem, buddy.
Hey, spread out. So, you go in, you want to introduce yourself in the office. Trust me, it's not going to kill you to walk in, get the manager's card, say to the lady, listen, I'm a home inspector, lady at the front desk, find out her name. Is she a realtor? Or she may be staff? Find out. Ask her. She doesn't know you, you don't know her. Get to know her name and find out who the manager is. What I would do is I don't try and get an appointment with the manager. I'll wait 3 or 4 days and then I'll call the manager and see when a good time. I'm a home inspector. I was in the other day and I left my cards on your cadenza with all the other cards of other home inspectors. I'd like to come in and introduce yourself and talk about pre-listing inspections. I guarantee you, you tell them you want to talk to her about pre-listing inspections and you will be guaranteed one thing, an appointment. Managers love pre-listing inspections, and anybody that can come in and promote pre-listing inspections is welcome. And the first thing they find out when they find out that I believe in pre-listing inspections is when can we have you come in and talk to everybody else. Now, I might not want to talk to the whole crew, so I'm going to be busy on Tuesday mornings for a long time until I start feeling comfortable in that office. She wants me to talk pre-listing inspections, but unfortunately my calendar is full, at least for the foreseeable future. So we're never going to be able to tie it together. But now she knows me, now she has my card, and now it doesn't hurt when I come back in. At least I'm not the stranger at the door. And a week later, I come back in to take my cards and put them over here on the credenza, and the flyer and the plastic holder, and they're all stacked up there, and you put your cards in there. Those flyers, with the trifolds, are there just to, nobody reads them. I've watched realtors walk over that, oh, here's an inspector that I like, and yeah, we use this one and this one. They're picking out the business cards. I've never seen one of them pick up the actual trifold. Because all the trifolds are the same. Yeah, I do home inspections, I walk on roofs, I use a drone, I do well flow tests, I do mold testing, etc. They all say exactly the same thing. But the business card are handed out, and then they'll get it. Here, I've used all 3 of these. Take these and pick one, because you need a home inspection. Of course, they'll have the one on top is the one that they like the most. Or they'll hand it to him, here's a couple, but this is the guy I really like. His name's Joe. Great guy.
What about Jay?
What?
I just said, what about Jay? Just use Jason.
You want me to use Jason then for the example of a great
Yeah, why
guy?
don't we-
You're so difficult. The sun's shining outside, you try and argue that it's dark. Okay, all I want to do is get into that office so I become a familiar face. And in the process, I have to come in every morning. Did I tell you how I did 10 offices in a row? 15. I think I started with 10 and went to 15. And each one was marked a day for 15 days, and then I'd recycle and I'd go back. And the second time back would be the donut, and with my cards all over the box. And I'm putting it in the coffee room, which is where the rookie is always hanging out. The seasoned guy is never there because he hates the office and he hates all the bullshit that goes with it. But he has to read. They give him manuals, and he's sitting there reading and munching on your donuts. I would love to have $1 every time when I was in the middle of my donut program. I would love to have $1. It's a program. Quit laughing.
Works. It works.
$1 where I'd have, hi, is this Dan Osborne? Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sitting here eating one of your donuts and I got my first inspection. And now I need to check on prices so I can give you your name. Because I really like the donuts. Keep them coming, by the way. Seriously.
Now, do you tell them the prices?
Yeah.
Because
But I'll say, since it's
you're
coming.
saying clients.
Well, and now I'm going to work him. I'm going to tell him, yes, my price is normally $3.50, but because I've been doing all those donuts for you, you're calling me, this is your first one, let me give you a price of $2.75. And if there's anything a realtor wants, it's to offer his client a better deal. Correct?
Just puts the shine on you to.
It makes him look good. Or him, because he's that's the asshole that never comes into the office that I don't want anything to do with. I just,
Firstborn given this.
A question.
yes.
Let's say I got my business cards printed out, my trifolds, but we're still going through this class. Should we start that then? When would be a good time to actually start applying that?
Well, my fear of you doing it before you get your license is they may snap you up and say, holy shit, that's Ryan, I just had this come in, you're a great guy, so can you do an inspection tomorrow? And you'd probably fall over.
Yeah.
And you're like, ah.
That's what happened to me, for sure.
I got that kind of
No,
lunch.
it's just, you know.
So there's only one solution around that. If you want to start that now, and the sooner you start it, the better off you are. You tell them that, yeah, that'd be great, and you make that appointment, and you make it all happen, and then you bring somebody along with you and let him do it under him, and you two split it. That's the only way it'll work. But you better be ready to make that appointment and make the time, etc. There's no law against you being his agent.
Jamie and I do that for a lot of you guys. Like last month, they're like, oh, I have somebody, can you help me out? Or they call you. And we just split it. We know not to go after your realtor. We're here to help you start your business.
So if you're prepared to make the appointment, yada, 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 then they don't have to know it's not going to be you. You do know it'll be somebody else, so you can say, yeah, we always inspect as a pair. My partner and I will be there Saturday morning, and just don't do it Saturday morning because he's in the middle of a mock.
Yeah.
So you say, let me check with my partner, see if we have an opening next week, and I'll get back to you. Get their contact information and go from there. Okay? But where was I? So, pre-listing inspection, and I pointed at you and said that I would never do that with, so the new guy calls up as he's eating the donut. I know where I'm at. he's eating his donut and he makes an appointment with me, my standard home inspection price is $350. But since this is our first deal, we just get to know you, why don't I do this? Let me give you a $275 price. $275 for the home inspection and $75 for the radon, that's $350. $350 for radon and home inspection. And now you can say, listen, the home inspector's normal price is $450, but I got a $350 for you for the radon and the home inspection. Now you look good, and now I feel good because now I can go in there and impress you with the job that I do. Joe is taking that a step further though. He goes in there and he accumulates new realtors, and then he holds a class for them at his house sometimes.
Yep, we do.
You did that early on. I don't know if you still do that.
No, because it's in some areas it started dying out. One of the things that I think you can all do when you talk to new realtors is that you want to educate them. Educate them on what is a home inspection, what to look for, help them in the process. It's like Dan said, it's a marathon, right? So you're not trying to rush into it. It's something you want to build. Well, what I meant is it's a relationship you want to build on.
Yes.
So you can continue it on. So if you can find those one or two, don't try to find everybody, but you're going to find one or two that you build a relationship with. And you say, hey, listen, if you have another realtor that you're new in the business, you guys pick a house, I'll show up there and I'll show you what a home inspector does.
Because you got to remember, as much as you guys have never been to a home inspection, a real home inspection that knows what's going on, the new realtor hasn't been through the whole process either. He doesn't have a clue what's going to happen at a home inspection. And do we want him to walk around clueless? No. So some managers like it. Joe goes in and talks to the manager about a class for the new realtors, and he'll put on a little.
Usually I have them go to my father's house that is vacant, or I created a small little class where I go in, and people say, oh, I got 10 people come in, 3 show up. Well, that's perfect. I only want 3. I want to create a bond. I want to create.
So he's educating realtors, and he doesn't want a group of 10 because he wants that relationship, so it works out perfect. Just avoid the one-on-ones.
If you ever, just from a business point of view, if you ever have a one-on-one, and it is with a female, and well, we're all male, you want to make sure you're always, being appropriate of distance and understanding the language that we use, where we may use it here, you got to really understand the language that you're using. And especially if you're in their office, sometimes they have conference rooms that they allow you to talk and stuff.
So, and anytime any of that does come up, don't be afraid to talk with us about what your talking points are. But the real reason that we want you to understand the whole concept around pre-listing inspections is so that you have something to talk about. Because if you're talking about increasing their yearly income, they're going to listen to you. Now, how knowledgeable you are about the process is the more knowledgeable you appear, the more they'll listen. So you don't want to be a rookie falling all over yourself using the wrong words. Rather create no impression than a bad impression. So you have to be comfortable with it. That's why we start you talking off about pre-listing inspection and understanding the marketing strategy as early as we can, because at some point in time you're going to have to go out there and carry that ball yourself. And being comfortable with the subject is very important. So the whole real estate thing is, and this page lays out all the different things that we're, how many times we go to the office. I've gone to offices and never had anything, 10 trips over a 3 or 4 month period of time, and never had a phone call from them, and eventually I dropped them and added another office in its place. But what I do know is with enough numbers and enough donuts bought, you're going to make enough business to get a couple of inspections that'll pay for your donuts and make you feel that, oh, this is working. One thing it does, it will work. The only thing that's going to stop it from working is you stopping.
Question, Dan.
Yeah.
Do you ever market attorneys?
I have an attorney that's a friend of mine from back when I sold Matthew Bender Law Books. And I went into his office, and the typical shot with them is for sale by owners. Maybe they don't have a realtor, now it's a for sale by owner, and he will advise them to get a home inspector, and then that's the ones you will get from them.
So that's where I got Joe's name, from a real estate attorney.
An
That was a
attorney.
friend of a friend, and
Right.
She
And
knew
then-
I was looking for a house. I said, you know any inspectors? She said, here's 2 names. I don't remember who the other name was, but yours was the first one. So I called Joe, and that's how we
So,
met.
yes.
Was a woman?
It was.
So yes, mortgage, real estate attorneys, but not the traditional, because the realtor, long before it hits the attorney's office, the realtor already has them hooked
Yeah.
up with an
Yeah, I know it
inspector.
was an unusual circumstance, but,
Yes,
and I hear from her, because we're still friends all the time, terrible inspector. I read terrible report today, another terrible inspector today. I hear from her all the time. She goes, oh my God, they're horrible.
And you won't, honestly, the only way House Facts becomes a terrible report is your English.
Yeah.
I'll be quite honest.
And upside down pictures.
But,
Well, yeah.
but it is the last product, and I'm glad that you said that, Dan, is because we can be a fantastic inspector and we can market really great, but that is the last product that you leave with somebody. That is our product. Besides how we inspect, is the report itself.
Yeah.
And if it's not clear and concise in how we teach you, a lot of systems are broken down in some manner,
Yeah.
but it's going to be clear and concise. That's what.
I've got guys that have been using House Facts for the last 10 years, and
Yeah.
yeah, it has its ups and downs, but the one thing that's consistently been, there's never been a word about it not being the best looking report in the industry.
Yeah.
And the guy, I had a call the other day, God, I'd like to get rid of House Facts, but my clients and my realtors just love the look and how easy it is and et cetera.
Why does he want to get rid of it?
Because I don't have a mobile device yet. Everybody wants to go mobile, and our mobile device should be out by the January 1st, but
I think from this lady's perspective too, she gets caught in the battles of the inspection and what was missed and what was wrong. I know that's what she's talking about, because
right.
it brings up more work for her, but she complains all the time. She's fighting again about a roof that got missed today or something that the inspector missed,
Right.
you know.
Now, where was I? Now,
Yeah.
totally off track.
You were donuts.
No.
That's new donuts.
No, you were talking about pre-listing inspections. and,
Discounting the first inspection.
Discounting the first, yes.
Okay, you're going to keep going back to these offices, and the things that you're looking for is relationships. This is just a relationship business. There's no way to get around it. The more realtors you meet, and the systems that, the more realtors you meet, the more chance you have of finding a commonality. Maybe you're both Giant fans, both Jet fans, etc. So if you do a combination of working on real estate offices and the Chamber of Commerce, and you join the Elks Club and you start doing your laundry at laundromats, you know, something's going to happen. And when you get one or two, when you get that first one, and then the realtor gave you wound up, your brother-in-law was buying a house, and so when you go out and inspect at that house, your brother, there's going to be 2 realtors there that have never seen you before. Now's the time you have to market yourself. You don't want to be alarming, but you have to be truthful. So you have to give a fair inspection of that house and that situation, no matter what they say. But if you handle your clients properly and you handle the real estate agents properly, you're probably in pretty good shape. Just always remember that those realtors have never seen you before, and between talking about office politics, they will be looking at what you're doing. And trust me, when you get in your car at the end of the day and you're driving down the road and you look in your little rear view mirror and your 2 clients and the buyer's agent are standing out in the street talking, they're not talking about the horse races or the Giants. They're talking about that inspection and you. And the happier that her clients are with you, is the more likely that a realtor will use you again. And then you start marketing that realtor. You go in with discount coupons or however you want to do it. You have to start fostering these relationships. Let's look at the sale of a house. Joe and John, both brokers. This is Mr. and Mrs. They've decided they're going to sell their house. So Mrs. Smith, Mr. Smith's working, so Mrs. Smith has to do it. Doesn't have a friend in the real estate market. Does want the house listed. Does want it sold. So she calls around to a couple of the local real estate offices in the area. Mrs. Smith calls Caldwell Banker. Hi, I'm looking to sell my home. What do I do? And Mr. John, the broker, says, let me send an agent by. We'll go out and we'll tell you what we have to do. We'll take a look at your house. We'll tell you where we can go and what we think we should market it for, etc. Mrs. Smith, being a wise consumer, doesn't stop at Caldwell Banker. The other one that's down the other direction in the street is Realty USA. She calls and does the same thing. So now we have Sally, who's just an agent, and Sarah, who's another agent, are both given the job by the broker to go over to the Smith's house, sit down with them some night when they're both home, so they can make a decision, so you can sign an agreement. What is the form called that they would sign with to get the house listed?
A listing agreement.
A listing agreement.
Yeah.
They're each going to try and sell them and to get this house on the marketplace. Each one of them have come in with a set of sales techniques to get you to sign that night. That's first of all why they ask that both people be there. They're going to tell you everything you want to hear plus a little. Sarah shows up first. Sarah's cut from a different, she's actually from Iowa. So she's more middle of the road. She thinks your house is worth probably $215, $200, $210 in that area. The Smiths have a $230 value in their house. Sarah says, yeah, there's some work that needs to be done. Walk through the house, I looked around. It's, you know, it's a nice house. We can move it, but I think the price is going to be closer to $210, maybe $215. This doesn't happen often, does it? Just saying what should happen.
Told me every time.
Sarah says, that house is $215, maybe $220 at the most. You're going to sit around in the marketplace forever. Don't say that, but that's what she said. Sally shows, and by the way, we're going to put your house on the MLS. We're going to take a series of photos. We're going to have the house staged. We're going to take all that crap down to the basement. We're going to store it for you. We're going to pay for storage. Just sign at the bottom of this line. They're giving them all the features that they can throw at them. But Smiths can't get their mind off of that $215 when they know it should be $230. Is that about right so far?
So far.
So the following night, both of them are home. Sally shows up. Sally looks at this house from the street, walks inside, walks around and goes, ooh, wow, that's nice. Oh man, look at that. It's real bricks on that fireplace. Wow. Seriously? A GE stove? You know how long it's been since I've seen a GE stove? This is great. People are going to love this. They sit down to talk and what are we going to do? Well, I'm telling you right now, we're going to put this on the MLS. And yeah, we're going to come in. We're not only going to do photos, we're going to do video. We're going to have this live action. We may even have clowns running through it just to create interest. We're all over this. I love this house. This is going, oh my God. And yeah, we're going to have it staged, but we're just not going to have anybody stage it. we're going to have Home Depot come over and stage it. Wow! We're going to have shelves and everything. And then, and we're going to do storage because, you know, all those family heirlooms in your basement shouldn't be out because somebody might steal them. So let's put all the family heirlooms away. So we're going to get a storage place for you. Oh, and another thing that we're providing for all of our clients free of charge, it's costing us money, but you're not going to have to pay anything, is we're going to get the home inspection pre-inspected at no cost to you, so we'll know what's going on in the marketplace. And are you ready for the good news? I am very comfortable, and I've been in this business for at least 9 years, maybe 10, that I can sell this property for $240,000. And Mrs. Smith knew that that other lady lied to her. Not sure why. 240, well, that makes sense. Hey, maybe we can get 5 or 10 grand extra on this above our 230. They already got the 240 now in their mind. It's like concrete. Once you give a person a high price, it's not going anywhere. Now you're screwing them if they don't get their 240. To hell with this 230. What were we thinking? Price is now 240. Here's the features. Man, they're signing that buyer's agreement all over that. Am I right? $240,000. These people have already booked their Hawaii trip with that extra 10 grand. Because she said it's going to sell probably this spring. Wow, we're going, August, we're headed to Hawaii. $240,000. Man. So they come out and they put the old for sale sign out here. And they did all the things that they said they were going to do. But that nice home inspection, pre-inspection, that was a great idea. And it sits there on the marketplace, and sits there on the marketplace, and sits there on the marketplace. I never understood how a realtor that told him it could go for 240 walks in and says, well, maybe the price is a tad high. Never understood how you get away with it. I don't know how you would do it. I wouldn't look myself in the mirror in the morning. It's hard enough as is, but not after doing this. So, 2 months later, 3, we got to lower the price. And then they start this. 215. Back down to 215, we're headed that direction. So the price gets to 215, 6 months down the road. To hell with fucking Hawaii. We're staying here. I'll take you to Glens Falls, okay, honey? So, Mr. and Mrs. Jones wants to buy a house in that particular neighborhood. And wow, 215's right in there going, ah, God, hope we can get it for 215. So wouldn't you know, the Joneses are looking for a house, and who winds up getting these people but Sarah, who knows the right price is $215 on this house. So Sarah gives them, I'm not going to be politically incorrect here, Jason, okay? Notice they're all black stick figures, all right? Says, I met this charming young man, his name's Jason. He'll do a great inspection for you. You should see the donuts he brings into the office. So, what happened here is the Joneses signed a contract, or Sarah is representing the buyers. Sarah takes them and shows them this house because she's well aware of the house. She's been in it before. Sarah talks to Sally. They come up with a standard contract. And the term standard is loosely used. It's whatever that real estate office feels needs to be in a contract. They call it standard. It's their standard offering. It's not necessarily standard to the industry, it's not necessarily standard to New York State, it's not necessarily standard to Albany, correct? It's a figment of everybody's imagination. But we should all give an amen to the figment, because in these contracts are home inspections. And if it wasn't for the real estate offices being tired of being sued every day of the week, we wouldn't have a job. So as much as we complain about realtors, we love them, because they don't want to go to court. They'd rather we go to court. So the whole industry has been put together because we're taking the fall instead of the real estate offices. They used to get sued back in the day, 40 years ago, every day of the week, because they were going out telling people stuff they didn't know anything about and winding up getting in problems. So we owe them a big thank you for writing us into these contracts. But they don't have to write us into the contracts, but they do, because that's the standard process. How easy is it for a realtor to, no, how easy is it for a buyer to waive the inspection?
They don't have to sign that part unless the bank mandates.
Unless the bank mandates. And other than FHA and some of the federal ones, none of them really mandate. All they care about is the appraisal.
Correct.
Okay? So, but they hand this standard contract out to people that has radon, termite, and home inspection, at least in the capital region. It's those three that are booked together, because nobody wants to be liable for radon if it does kill somebody. Nobody knows for sure whether there's termites in a house. It doesn't matter who inspects it. There may be, there may not be, so why have that liability? Let's just let the buyer pay for a termite inspection. It's in the contract. So when the realtor hands the client a standard contract, that's a standard, my office's standard cover my ass contract, and the buyer can sit there and cross out any little thing he wants to and add any little thing he wants to, that then goes back to his boss for review.
Correct.
Okay? So this whole thing about, well, what do you think I should do? I love it when the client calls me up and says, what do you think we should do for an inspection? I said, what's your contract say? Well, my contract says it needs a home inspection radon and termite. Okay, then that's what I do. Well, but what do you think about the well flow? I said, well, talk to your realtor about that. I don't want to be the one picking and choosing what goes into that contract, because if I happen to say one thing and it needed something else and I didn't happen to say something else, now I'm liable. Because I was the guy telling what to do. So you never get involved with telling your client. You're going to ask your client, what does your contract say? Does it say radon, termite, and home inspection? Yes, then that's what I'll be providing you. Okay? So don't let them trick you into creating your own, because you may get in trouble. So they have this standard contract. Sarah takes it to Sally. Sally looks at it. $215. Of course, the Smiths are grumbling, but they sign it. They got to get rid of this. I can't wait to get to Glens Falls. So now it's the day of the big inspection. Jason shows up at the house at the prescribed 1 o'clock time. Sally's there. Mrs. Smith's there. You want me to go sit in the other room? No, that's okay. You won't get in the way, will you? Sarah's going to be there. Of course, the Joneses' grandfather's there, because, well, he's bought hundreds of homes before in his life. He's going to know everything there is to know about it. He's typically the guy that's watching you, making sure you know what you're doing. I love it when a young couple brings the older guy along to make sure I know what I'm doing. And I love it, because now I don't have to focus on the two of them. I focus on him.
Yeah.
He's their judge. I love that. Now I put him in my back pocket and we go inspect this house together. And once he knows everything we're doing, then you're good. Let the young couple that don't know anything about the house go off and measure the rooms, etc. You got the grandfather with you. So now we have at this inspection, one inspector, both buyers, grandfather, the mother, Sally, and Sarah, 7 people. and maybe a kid or two. And dogs. All hell breaks loose. To think that you guys complain about crowds at the mock inspections, go to a real inspection. Sure, you get those houses where there's only 1 or 2 people.
I had one inspection where I had 10 people.
Oh my God.
Chicken donuts?
That, now there you needed to do
Because
dozen
it was a
donuts.
young couple, you had the father-in-law on both sides, the mother-in-law, then you had a brother or sister, and then you had a grandfather or a cousin. And you gotta set the expectation with the realtor saying, this is normally a 2-hour inspection, but today we're gonna be here for 3.5 hours. Because there's just so many people and so many questions, and I can't be rude unless you help me with this.
Right.
So, you set the expectations for the realtor when that has, you don't know how many people. Because, and you gotta be nice, you gotta be able to be considerate, you gotta listen, you know, and it's a long day, absolutely. Right, because there's people that love this couple, that wanna make sure what's best for them, they're not there to judge you, they just wanna make sure that they're not making any wrong decisions.
I love my inspection where I had the 2 engineers, the father and the father-in-law. So it was both the husband and the wife's parents, who were both engineers. And I knew about this 2 days ahead of time that I was gonna have, and wound up, the husband and wife were engineers. So I had 4 fucking engineers at this inspection. I mean, oh my God. It was great, because what happened is the 2 fathers were competing.
Yes,
I know it, yeah.
They could, I'm going, and I wound up being the arbiter. So I was appeasing both at the same time, but anyway. Okay, so we have a crowd here, everybody's here. First thing that happens is I try and get into the shed, or the detached garage, and it's locked up, nobody knows where the freaking keys is. Who screwed up there? Because what is the listing agent? Right. What's the job of the listing agent?
make sure you have access to all areas.
All areas, to make sure that everything is open. How many real estate agents actually do that? None. Occasionally, somebody will actually take clothes out of a closet and have a ladder set up for the hatch. Why, did I say something wrong?
No.
I've gone to some houses where the real estate agent actually told them, could you move that hatch over and take the clothes out of the closet? The inspector's going to be here tomorrow, and might as well put an A-frame underneath it.
And usually it's the gentleman that owns the house that knows every single thing about the house. You can't get them to leave because the clients don't want anybody there.
Right. So, always remember, it's not your job to get into these rooms. Always remember, it's not your job to take the clothes out of the closet. Those aren't your clothes. Leave your freaking fingers off of it. What you tell the agent is, I'll come back and do the attic inspection when I pick up the radon. That gives you 3 days to get these clothes moved out of the closet and the hatch open. And oh my God, don't even worry about that, Dan. I'll get all this stuff, and bang. Within 2 minutes, you have access to the attic, because they don't want that all to wait to find out 3 days later that the house has mold. Now, all of a sudden, they're concerned about how fast the deal goes. Not when I was talking pre-listing. Oh, that's okay, it'll sell itself. Does that sound bitter?
No.
No, not at all. Now, all of a sudden, they want all that information instantly.
Yep.
Oh, so you're going to go around focusing on your 2 clients and the questions they have, oh, and the grandfather, about the house. You have 2 realtors. I love having my realtors at the house. There's one really good reason to have both realtors at the house that day. Anybody want to hazard a guess?
Move clothes for you.
Huh?
Move clothes for you.
Yeah, move clothes. Okay, well, that's a good one too. Anybody else?
Keep each other occupied.
Oh, they do that also, but there's one really good reason.
Hold on one second. I want these guys to answer.
If I find something, let's just say Dan's the listing agent. And if I find something that I think is going to be tremendous, come on, Dan, let's go. I want to show you something. Why do I want to take him and have him see the problem?
Because he didn't do a pre-listing inspection. And you
No,
want to do
but he is an asshole. We know that. Why is it that Why is it that I want him to see it?
The listing agent or the buyer's agent?
Listing agent. I don't care about the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent will see it in time, at the same time. They always stay together anyway. But I'm mostly interested in the listing agent.
What, to clarify the issue?
Exactly. I don't have to go home and explain it to anybody.
Right.
All I have to do is explain it to him, so he sees what I saw, and I can tell by the lights in his eyes whether he's buying it or not.
Right.
Now I'm addressing the problem at the time that I'm in there. If I just say, oh, there's mold there, oh, I already closed that up, don't worry about it, and oh, by the way, and everything else, and then 2 days, a day later, they get the report, and it has mold, nobody believes me. He's my show and tell guy. I don't care about the buyer's agent. I mean, I do care about the buyer's agent, but what I want is the listing agent to see it, so I don't have to explain to everybody in the brother about the validity of what I saw. Correct, Joe?
So you can continue on your home inspection, and now that listing agent is
Is already
talking
on the phone.
to the seller or to whoever it may be, and quite honestly, the listing agent, or they have a relationship with the seller. They've been together. They know everything.
Oh, they're
Very much like a
buddies.
buying agent.
Right.
So, and now you're off, and they're gonna, I don't wanna say believe it, but they're like, all right, let's get this done, let's get this fixed.
Until he's convinced, nobody else is convinced.
Yep.
Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So if I say something that he's not buying, like this is a big deal, and the listing agent's sitting there arguing with you, well, you might as well just stop right there, because you're not going to get cooperation for your client on making sure that it gets taken care of until I can convince him that this is an issue. Okay? There's a lot of dynamics going on with the buyers and the sellers agents and the clients and the contract and the attorneys. And the reason I spend this time going through this whole process with you is to give you an idea that there's just a bunch of stuff here. I don't expect you to take any of this stuff home and understand it perfectly, but it doesn't hurt to. I loved when I got into the business. Man, I couldn't talk to realtors enough, and I was stupid. I mean, I literally grew my career out of just being wrong all the time, and eventually the wrongs turned in from 90% of the time I was wrong about the realtors relationship to then 80 to then 70 to 60. I'm sure I'm at 10% now. I'm still wrong, but that's better than 90, and that's where I started from. Okay, so get involved in these. These realtors and their relationship with the buyers and with you is a big deal. Joe's found that out, and you can't stress it enough. Now, it's not so big a deal that it should take your eyes off of your report and your inspection and the job you do. Know, though, that there's a lot of stuff going on, and just do your job. There's nothing that will impress realtors more than you just doing a good job and writing a good report and going on. And you will slowly start meeting and having friends and start seeing realtors more and more. And when you get a couple of them, and then they start sharing their stories with you, you kind of learn your way into the business. But you weren't really hampered by not knowing that stuff up front.
You gotta enjoy the process.
The process. This is a learning process. Okay? I've always contended that realtors that take this course wind up being better realtors. I'm curious.
It's knowledge.
I'm sure.
It's knowledge that a lot of them don't know. Just because they become realtors
That
doesn't
lady,
mean anything.
that lady at G-Car refuses for me to put on home inspection course for realtors about the house, where we spend an hour talking about the house and they get CEUs.
Exactly.
She says to me, we don't need to know anything about the house.
That's interesting.
It just turns into an echo chamber
That's
for
cheap, right?
realtors.
Yeah. Okay. During this process, Jason has been busy. He's been watching everybody going around. So now, at the end of the inspection, he goes up to the listing agent. Correct, Jason?
Yes.
You're going to go up to the listing agent at the end of this inspection, and you're going to ask for your listing agent's card, correct? Because that was the right answer. Because what you're going to do is you're going to have to get access back to the house to pick up the radon canisters. And she's going to say, oh, Jason, you were great today. This is 101 real estate. Oh, man, you know our office just doesn't have too many home inspectors. Could you give me a card and I'll pass it around the office? Swear to God, they say that. Like I'm supposed to believe that this 40-people office doesn't have any home inspectors. Anyway, the key there is if she asks for one card, she's blowing smoke up your skirt. If she turns around and asks for 10 or 12 cards, I've handed people one card and say, that's not enough, Dan, come on, give me more. Then you know that they're serious, that they are planning on using you again, and she does want to have them in her drawer. And it does happen, and they might like you. The chances of really liking you is 1 out of 10, but I'll go meet 10 people to find one that likes me, because there's $1,000 every month. It's worth the numbers. So you have an opportunity to market each of those offices. You don't try and market at that time. I got your card, and I'll see you Thursday for the radon, and you'll be getting, and now that you're my client, and is it okay if I have John here, if I send John the report?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to have verbal consent from your client that you can send it to a realtor. You can't send it to anybody else unless verbal consent from your client. Now I get to send my report to you. So give me your card, if you don't mind. Now I've got both their cards, I have their email addresses, I have their phone numbers, and I send him a copy of the report, and then I visit his office in about 2 or 3 days to see if he had any questions about it. I try and get in there. He may not be in the office at that time. That's okay. He's already met me, and I'm going to go by the office, and I'm going to be leaving donuts. Now, this wasn't one of my offices for donuts, so now I've added his house, his to the donut, and I'm going to call him in a couple days. I'm going to find out what he thought about the report. Hey, just want to check in with you. You got the report the other day. Was everything clear?
Opens the door for you.
Absolutely. Conversation. I can do the same thing over here. I can do the other realtor. I go over there. Listen, I haven't. I'm going to go be dropping by next. Maybe I'll send you an email. I'm going to be dropping by to leave my cards, etc. in the office. Will you be around on Wednesday? No, they're not going to be around. They may be around. They may not. It doesn't matter. Now I have 2 other offices. Now I have gone into real estate offices, and the manager said, until you do an inspection where one of my people can see you in the field, we are not going to put your cards out on our credenza. They have their own rules, that's fine. But every time I have somebody that has used me, I take their business card. Now, something I never did, and I should have, I learned this much too late, but start a database tonight.
And it's as simple as,
An Excel spreadsheet that filters. Go ahead, what do you do?
no, just name,
Email.
first and last name, email,
Office.
the office, the location, their phone number, and just start writing that information down, that data. I was literally, while you guys were talking, I'm still old school. I like business cards and that sort of stuff, but I have a duplicate over here. But if this craps the bed, I got this, right? So I still like having cards.
This is impressive. Look at this.
Look at that.
That's old school.
That's like,
That may be old school, but that looks a lot better than that.
Can't
What is
fail.
that thing? What?
Can't fail.
Can't fail.
Unless you
That's
lose it.
exactly
because
right.
I'll say this much, guys. When you're in your car sitting waiting for somebody and your business is slow, you're like,
Oh, you
Oh,
jerk
who do
off
I
to
talk
those?
what's that?
Right down there.
I got these
Delete
pictures
that
of all
all.
these.
Delete
I got
that.
these pictures of all. I got these pictures of all these women. That's what it sounded like you were going when you're sitting in your car at a stoplight and you got nothing else to do. He flips this open and drops his pants.
No, I mean, we're not allowed to have cell phones, so it's like,
Oh.
okay, there's 3 or 4 realtors I haven't talked to, so I can text them real quick. You know what I mean? Hey, how you doing? What's going on? And things like, how can I help you and stuff like that. So it's, when you create a database, it's like a baby. You gotta feed it, you gotta take care of it. If you ignored it, it dies. Because guess who else is creating a database?
Everybody else.
Mike, I mean, everyone's
Gus.
creating a database.
Gus,
So if you're-
Gus,
so if you're
Gus.
not,
That's a
so if you're not
James
working your database, taking care of it, someone else's is. And I can guarantee you, let me tell you, we're all gonna have the same people in our database. But when you have thousands of people, likelihood of us seeing the same
Not
people is
you.
really low.
Joe and I have been working in the same territory for, when have we ever run into a deal with each other or had the same people price us
There was
out?
only one time that I did a home inspection for a buyer, that the seller was using Dan as a buyer, out of all these
Inspector.
years, an inspector. And I had a home inspector a mile and a half away from my home that I never met, but I met during a mold assessment class. And he's been doing it as long as I have. We never met. Didn't know each other. Didn't even ever even run into each other. So,
This isn't a small market. What this is a whole bunch of new realtors every month. What's the number, about 4 to 1?
yeah.
Every month, there's 4 new realtors for every new home inspector. That's your market. So 30 people in the capital region will be becoming realtors next month. There's where your market is. And you're going to find your way there by just having relationships with offices. So now I just created 2 new offices I call on. All I have to do is come into your office and find out now who's new. So I'm going to work that relationship that I have with you in the office, and by way of a conversation, maybe we go out to lunch or something, I'm going to find out who the new people were that just started last
It's
month.
nice, you create a relationship on the site with the person, they know you, you have an in, get to the office and talk to other people.
Exactly,
Makes sense.
because it's about the relationship, it's not about anything else. I'm telling you right now, I started this by saying to you, that you can be a half-ass home inspector, but if you know how to market, you will be successful. And I will get you to the half-ass part, okay? Trust us.
As long as you're painful.
Notice you pointed at Joe when you said that.
Yeah, well, yeah,
You did.
if I don't harass him every night, what good would be coming in here?
I'll say this much. Sitting in the class as a student tonight and listening to Dan, I'm still learning a lot of things. And you guys will continue, as long as you guys have an open mind and learn from your failures and keep on learning, I don't see how anyone cannot be successful.
And by not quitting. Can you arrange in your life that you can put together a plan and follow that plan and just stick with it? It will, the only reason your plans will, the reason I know that people don't become successful home inspectors is either their lives changed or they decided to quit. Now, you can have a brother in Indianapolis that you have to go spend 6 months out of the year with because he's a paraplegic now, or whatever the story is, or your life changed, or you got to go off someplace else and you can't follow your business. That's one thing. And but if you quit trying and you quit marketing, that's the sure way to fail.
That's the beauty of this, like, you kind of take it with you. You-
Absolutely. Just get your basics down. I always say to Joe, I wish he would step away from being an inspector while we're doing our projects and everything else, because Joe has an advantage, besides being 6'3" and built, like me.
Yes, you have.
He actually has the job. But Joe has an advantage, is now he understands this business well enough that he could stop tomorrow, come back 2 years from now, and take 2 months, and you'd be up and running and doing the same
It
thing.
actually happened. Sometimes you will get busy and you don't market. It was actually last to November when everybody, just the phone stopped ringing. And it was a good 2 months because I did not take care of my people that I know in my business and my database, and I had to start all over again. But it's perseverance, and you got to enjoy the process. Life is hard. You just got to get up every day, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward.
But if you have a process that you know will work and you have faith in it, it will happen. Now let's go over some of the other, go to page 75. Some of the other marketing strategies for homes, to realtors.
You know,
I would suggest you going home and reading through some of this, these next 3 pages. The donut program we've already talked about, I already laid out. Any questions about the donut program other than just do 1 office a day and do it regularly and at least do it for 8 or 9 rows? So that means it's 6 months. If you do, I don't suggest for any of you to do 15 offices, 15 days in a row. I was a seasoned street salesman for 35 years, and I can handle that kind of volume, and that's all I did, was go from door to door to door. You guys are trying to fit marketing your business and also running your life and having your family, etc., so it's a little tad more difficult. How many offices did you start handling with your donut program when you first started out? 3. And you called on each one of them once a week?
Because of my job, I only had every other Friday off, so.
You called on them all three on one day every other
I went
Friday?
through every other Friday, that's what I did. And I
Okay.
stayed, local, within my range and that sort of
In
stuff.
Rotterdam, nobody wants to freaking inspect in Rotterdam.
So you
trust
called them
me.
every Friday
I didn't call,
Every
I
other-
walked in.
and just talk?
Donuts.
I brought in
Donuts.
donuts,
I'm just
I
saying.
tried to build relationships, I tried to meet, I tried to ask who's there, you know, anybody new and that sort of stuff. And if I didn't have anybody, I just talked to the receptionist. I meet,
How long before you got your first job?
I started in January, my first one was in February, so it took about 5 weeks.
And then how long before the second job?
February was 1, March I had 2, April I had 5,
Okay.
May,
Now,
June I was up.
this isn't fair because nobody is 6'3" with those looks and that body, okay? So
Yeah.
these women are all over it. I lost one of my best realtors to this asshole because Sarah comes in here and talks to real estate agents. I invited him along since he was teaching this program to lunch at Mill Road.
Yeah.
We were at Mill Road, Otis and Oliver's.
Or no, it was at the golf.
Yeah, Mill Road.
Yeah.
But it was Mill Road then, now it's Otis and Oliver's. So I got my best real estate agent that's gonna come in here and talk and invite this asshole along to have lunch with us because he's gonna be the one coordinating with her. I didn't see her or ever, my phone never rang. And then about 2 months later, I find out that he's doing all of Sarah's inspection.
Boy, it is.
But I'll say
Did
that.
I ever throw that in your face?
No, you haven't, because guess what?
I waited for tonight.
Guess what?
He wanted it on
Within
film.
about 9 months later, there was someone pregnant. You can't get emotionally attached with any realtor.
What do you mean, she left you too?
Left me to another, because guess what?
See, now I don't feel so bad.
But guys,
If she's throwing this guy away, I feel pretty, I'm in good company.
But remember, I mean, she was coming in here, so we had another 12 people going to her, another, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So do not get emotionally attached. It is a business. For whatever reason, your business model is not working with that agent. And you will follow up sometime later with them, because there's
You didn't
like,
even ask him though? Why'd you take his gal there?
I didn't take anybody's gal.
She called him, he didn't call her. I can attest for Joe's ethics.
Listen,
Well, he might have just slipped her his card under the table, but.
That's all he slept her?
This class is the dirtiest class
you guys
I've
are
had.
on.
It's the dirtiest class I've had.
Realtor open houses, how many have you done, Joe? You did-
My second year, I started it because I couldn't get to offices, so I was going only in my local area, and I would hit about 2 to 3 of realtor open offices.
Oh, you go right to the open house and
You
talk
go to an
them?
open house, you try and go early, when the realtor's there by herself, you bring a cup of coffee, a newspaper, magazine, some kind of gift thing that you want to do, go in, and you say, just came in to introduce myself, I'm busy during the week doing home inspections. Never say you have an outside job, I know you do, but I never, they never know I'm doing anything other than home inspecting. And then you walk in and you say, introduce yourself, I just wanted to drop by, I like to go by open houses and meet realtors, and here's a cup of coffee, and I want to leave you my card. One of the things that I do offer, if you use it, is I've got a coupon here for $50 off on an inspection. You're just doing that to give her some. And I also give free pre-listing inspections. For example, have you had this house inspected? Now you got her talking about the pre-listing inspections right where you want her, and every time it works. Don Clendaniel, another one of our guys on my team, went out in January, and by probably May, he's doing 15 inspections a month. And all he did was go out to open houses.
I think that's where I'll focus on.
Huh?
That makes sense, that's where I think I'd
You
go.
you go in there, and what Joe did,
One-on-one, you know,
yes, and what Joe did is he would ask permission if he hangs out, if any of the people that drop by today have any questions about the house, he'd be glad to talk with them. Now, every story I've heard from you, he never got any business from the realtors, but where he got the business from was those people that he showed the
They're
house.
buying.
They're buying. And he
Yeah,
wasn't inspecting the house, he got him at the open house. They called him up to look at another home they found.
Makes sense.
And
That seems like a
through the
really
experience that I've had where I work, 90% of the people that do the open houses aren't the seasoned vets. They
There you
throw the newbies. That's how the newbies get their
Trap them.
wheels
Yeah.
going. You know, they
Yeah.
try to pick up buyer clients through open houses.
Yeah.
and
Would
stuff
you,
like
would
that.
you agree with in all the people I've talked about, it's very rare that a realtor gets rude or tells the person to leave at the time of that open house.
Absolutely,
How do you start the
unless they're
conversation?
absolutely overwhelmed with the number of people
Yeah,
coming in
you
at
gotta
the door.
really, you gotta pay attention to your
Yeah.
surrounding area and the people. You don't like interrupt while they're
Right.
talking. at
No,
you
you
just-
don't want to be rude. How do you start, what do you say?
About what?
How do you start the conversation?
Hi, I'm Dan Osborne. I just came in to introduce myself. I'm a home inspector. Oh, here's some coffee. Oh, have you had this house pre-listed inspection? I think, there's your line.
Yep.
And then say, well, pre-listing, I say, yeah. Some homes have some hidden issues that maybe a home inspector would pick up. You don't want that to pop up during a buyer's inspection. You mind if I take a quick, didn't you say that to one? Do you mind if I take a quick look
Can I take
around?
a quick look? Can I go upstairs in the attic? Let me go in the basement. I said, if I find anything, let me know if you wanna know or not. And they'll say, yes, I definitely wanna know, or like, because if they know, right, then they have to provide that, disclose
Okay,
that
I got-
information.
Now-
I have a question about that.
Okay.
Now you're poking around in somebody's house that
Right.
actually didn't give you permission to poke around in.
Oh, I know, we don't poke where it's a visual
Well,
examination, which
You
is
said
why
get
the
in
house was
attic
open.
or
Well, I mean,
Open house.
I'm not saying I can pull out my ladder. It's more like knee walls and that sort of stuff, where I'll go look at a furnace. I don't take any panels off.
Okay.
You can, that sort of information.
Because newbies will say, yeah, go ahead and do
Yeah,
it, and then the owner will be like, what the hell, something's hanging off of the,
Right.
who was in here?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
why is this
Who's screwing
insulation
around in
all on
here?
the floor? The insulation's all over the floor.
Was Joe here?
Said open house. So
We took the open seriously.
so it wouldn't even be a bad idea to bring some cards in and ask the person if you could set them down there. Right?
I'm very, I'm very
I
careful.
don't know.
It's their show.
That's their show. That's exactly
There's
right.
usually a table set up or
No.
something, right?
No, they just have a,
Stay out of their show.
they have a list of like, well, not a list, something you fill out, say who came.
Let's put it this way, if there was a business show and you had your home inspection table laid out and some realtor came along and said, mind if I put my cards here? You'd probably kick him in the
I'll probably let 'em.
ankle.
I'm
You
I'm
would
pretty-
not. Whoa!
It's not hurting my, it helped my business, why wouldn't I?
Because another realtor may go, oh, you got their cards, why not
Yeah,
my
yeah.
cards?
So then I get every realtor that comes
They're
in and
not
sets a
like
card.
that.
Well, I get to take one and call them.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Realtor open houses is extremely good. I've only heard good things by it. Don't let one or two that don't pay off or don't get a positive reaction, don't let that influence you. They do work. Nothing I'm going to talk about here works 100% all the time, but they are known to work. Pre-listing inspections, I would market my pre-listing inspections to, what I would do is maybe find a FSBO list, or you see a for sale by owner. Go in and see if you can do an inspection for them, free of charge. You know, those people are planning on buying a home. Okay? So, pre-listing inspections are kind of, we've already talked about all the different ways that you could use it. I use pre-listing inspections as a way to introduce myself to clients, because my realtor isn't going to use me until they see me walk around with a client, talking to the client about the house. They don't know, am I a chatty guy, am I talking myself out, or do I not say a word to the client, not explain anything? They are going to judge you based on how you handle the client. Leave behind letter, I believe there's a copy of this. When you are doing an inspection, you know that those people are buying a house, the ones that are selling that house. So you leave a card with your name and a sample card or a business card on it, and you leave this, don't we have that letter here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
78.
Okay. Yeah, 78. And of course, there's a whole world of the social media today that I am way too old to understand how to use, but I'm sure many of you do. There's got to be I know my website works. I don't market to anybody, and I get a home inspection a month on my website. That's just somebody is looking for a Clifton Park home inspector, and they put in Clifton Park home inspectors, and mine comes up. And so they call around to the Clifton Park home inspectors looking for a home inspector. So just a website alone will start business coming in. And every time you get one off of the website, now there's going to be 2 realtors that show up, and now you have 2 offices to start calling on. So it just is a matter of time and discipline, as Joe would say, right, Joe?
Mhm.
Discipline. I think blogs are great. If you happen to be a writer, create a blog, talk about your inspection experiences, and start a blog, because blogs, one of the things that blogs will do is they will expand your SEO. So if you have a blog on your website, by blogging, it makes your SEO for your website pop even higher and higher and higher. And plus, they now have an opportunity to look into your brain or head about what you're looking for in inspection, what you think about clients, and what you think about homes, what you think about electric panels. It's kind of a peek into your soul by blogging. So consider starting a blog and discuss your business, yes.
So while the entire report you prepare for a client is the product or belongs to that client, if you have an interesting system that you may take one picture of, for instance, we saw a steam system with a brand new one with sight glass.
Right.
Would it be wrong to just take that picture and use it on your blog and just say, you know, worth noting, this is, you know, just.
Nothing's wrong with that. Probably somewhere that's wrong, but I do it all the time. No, but how are they going to know that it's theirs? Boy, does that look like ours? Well, I'm sorry, there's...
Oh, Fluffy's in the front
Yeah,
yard.
keep Fluffy out of the picture. And then participating in home and garden and bridal and other, just be visible in your neighborhood. Go to business shows. Do that. Leave your card. Go places. I know one guy talks about how he orders his cards by the thousand, and he doesn't walk up to a cashier when he's giving money out that he's always got his card in there. I'm a home inspector. Just if somebody's looking to buy a home, and he says it works. He never does a credit card transaction. He just does cash, and in the cash he always hands up a business card and a $20 bill to pay for whatever it is he's doing. And by just distributing these business cards has brought business. It's one of our recent students
Who does that?
that does.
I used to when I go to Stewart's to get coffee. I see someone getting like a small coffee or something like that. So I'll get that for you for $1 or something. No, thank you so much. And I said, hey, if you know anyone that's looking to buy a home, you know, you mind calling? And they're like, they look at it. Don't remember. They have the coffee.
Coffee goes a long
What's the
Of
worst?
course, with the money he makes, this guy,
Oh,
Jesus
man.
Christ, he's going around. You should be
Everybody,
buying
coffee.
coffee. Yeah, coffee for everybody.
See,
I don't think I can make this any more serious than or more important than it is. This is what's going to make or break you. Being able to market your business. If it is a light turning on, you don't not market because you're afraid of talking to people. Find a way to market that is comfortable for you, and maybe come talk to us about how you can do that and work on it from the back end instead of from the front end. Sure, walking into a real estate office the way Joe and I did, and then just walking in and say, hi, how are you, is one way of doing it, but not everybody's built that way. And find other avenues, but you have to find something. And if you don't have that other avenues, find somebody else that doesn't have those other avenues, and the two of you team up and find things that you can do as a team.
There's nothing wrong, and I said this before, you guys pass each other's names, around, get each other's numbers, and market your business. You know what I mean? Unless you want to immediately go full-time, if you want to go part-time, and if you want to start working with one another, I'm telling you, two's better than one. You'll get done in an hour, 10, 15 minutes, realtors like that. And then pretty soon you'll be like, hey, I found this one, I get an extra, 15
Right.
bucks, or you found this one. As long as you know you're both working fair, 50-50, and that sort of stuff.
My first partner was, Jamie was my second. My first partner was Dave Reynolds. He was up in Greenwich. He's now out in Iowa. After his divorce, he moved away, but we became partners because he didn't want to have anything to do with the business side. All he wanted to do was walk in a house and inspect. Well, he's been building houses, and I didn't know crap about houses, so it was a perfect two. I did the marketing, I got the jobs, I did the inspections, and when we walked in, I handled the client, and he went about inspecting the home. My comfort level was met because I don't know crap about houses, but I know crap about people. So I handled all the people side. I took care of the books, I did all that stuff. All I wanted him for, besides he was a great guy, and we didn't mind going to Canada because it was a 3.5-hour truck ride to get up there to inspect a trailer and then come all the way back. It was killing a day, but we were having a ball doing it. But I found a partner that we fit perfectly well together. I was tremendously concerned about my lack of knowledge of a house, and he didn't give a shit about the business side. So we went out and inspected together, and it was at his feet that I learned more about the house till I at least became comfortable with it. And apparently he became so comfortable with his the business side of doing it. He's now out in Iowa, retired, because he sold his business and a radon company. Yeah, he started a radon. Well, out there, radon people call you up without a house problem. There's so much radon out there. It's a whole different. It's a whole industry in itself. He didn't know he was getting in there. So he married a laboratory techie
Yeah.
that worked in a radon laboratory. They started their own business. Now they're retired after 10 years of doing that.
Wow, that was a good business.
Yeah.
So home inspecting and radon works together. Any questions? We never stop talking about marketing in this class, I can guarantee you. Joe is a perfect example of that, and I'm sure Jamie does the same thing. No question about marketing is ever unwanted. I'd rather talk to you about the marketing side of it because I know how important it is compared to double taps. Double taps isn't going to sink or swim or sink, or no, it's not just not going to. Yeah, but the lack of marketing will. This night wasn't meant to scare you about the marketing. What it is meant to do is open your minds up to that there's a lot of ways to do this. Your job is to figure out what will work with you. If you need Joe or myself or Jamie to work with it, please give us a call. Let's talk about it. We'll do whatever we can to help. Okay?
All right.
That's it for the night. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.